Welcome to the bulletin. Ghanaians will soon be paying 4 newly introduced taxes, which the government is hoping will shore up its efforts at boosting the economy. The economy has been badly hit by COVID-19 as many businesses have received shocks from restrictions imposed to deal with the spread of the virus. Parliament last night passed the Sanitation and Pollution Levy, the Financial Sector Cleanup Levy, the Energy Sector Recovery Levy and the new COVID-19 Health Levy. But that wasn't without some disagreements. Here are excerpts of proceedings.
I refer you to the budget statement, page 59, paragraph 260. Speaker, the impression as created in the budget statement was that the government intends to increase the price of petrol and diesel by 20 pesos. 20 pesos, petrol and diesel. But the Speaker, strangely, the bill before us intends to increase the prices of petrol and diesel by 20 pesos for the purposes of Energy Sector Recovery Levy and, Mr. Speaker, 18 pesos per kilogram of LPG. Mr. Speaker, the budget statement did not mention an increment in the LPG for the purposes of the payment of the Energy Sector Recovery Levy. But strangely, when the bill was sent to us, through the back door, the government has imposed an 18 pesos increment in every kilogram of LPG that we buy. So, Speaker, I believe that is not in order, because, the Speaker, that was not the intention of government.
Speaker, I just want to draw the attention to the fact that the gas levy was in the memo, and that it was part of the cabinet memo that was sent to cabinet. And cabinet has given us the approval. And in the figures, the fiscal tables too, the amount that we will raise from the gas is in there. We pointed it out to them. And that, in addition to the fuel, the petrol, is 661 million Ghana cedis. So Ministry of Finance has not sneaked anything through the back door. It is in the budget statement.
What she said is true, it's all true. We were there, we understood it. So it's surprising that he's raising the dollar. Mr. Speaker, put the question and let's get going, because what all makes that completely.
I urge my colleague, my colleague Honorable Abina, to show me where in the budget statement, that says that you are imposing 18 pesos in the increment for the purposes of increasing the LPG. So, Speaker, it is nowhere in the budget statement. Show me where in the fiscal table that says that you will have increased 18 pesos for LPG. The Speaker, show me. The Speaker, simply put, this is an imposition of tax through the back door. This is an imposition of tax through the back door.
To be standing in Parliament, debating on a tax that is evident, on the face, and on the committee, it being explained. To say that we are imposing tax by the back door, he should honorably withdraw. If it was a back door, you would have seen it. You have seen it, it has been discussed, you have accepted, you have written a report, and you are still talking about back door. What kind of back door is this?
I said it is through the back door for a simple reason. The Speaker, the simple reason is that this budget statement.
Hold on. Honorable,
Pointed it out to them on page 210 of the budget.
Appendix 3B.
Under other revenues, Appendix 3B, yes. It says the Delta Fund, 666,256,700.
Yes.
The petrol and the gas.
My colleague has said nothing. The Speaker, she said nothing. So, the Speaker, Delta Fund is the Energy Sector Recovery Levy. And already you said the Energy Sector Recovery Levy, you are imposing 20 pesos. I would have thought that she's pointing out to the fact that you have already indicated that you are increasing the levy for LPG. So, Speaker, that is not the case. She said nothing. Because there's nothing like LPG increase of 18 pesos. So, Speaker, I stand by my argument. So, Speaker, my point is simple. The very policy that introduced this tax is the budget statement and economic policy of government. for the year 2021. Yet, Mr. Speaker, if you are to look at the very budget statement, page 59, paragraph 260, there was nothing like LPG increase, a tax on LPG. And so, Mr. Speaker, an imposition of a tax with LPG, it is very worrying. Mr. Speaker, moving away from that, it is important for us to understand that not long ago, during the media review, our minister responsible for finance in the year 2019 appeared before us and said that, Mr. Speaker, there is the need for us to contribute for the purposes of paying energy sector obligations. Mr. Speaker, this House accepted it in good faith and granted our minister responsible for finance the opportunity to increase taxes for the purposes of settling the energy sector related expenditures. Mr. Speaker, within a year, or just about more than a year, the minister has come before us again, telling us that we should give him another opportunity to go and impose additional taxes for the same purposes.
Why?
Mr. Speaker, yet he has failed to tell us what the original one was used for. Mr. Speaker, that is where my difficulty is. Because I've given you a mandate, all of us voted by consensus to support you to raise that resources. And you've not accounted for it, and you are asking us to support you once again to raise additional revenue. The Speaker, to conclude on this matter, it has become apparent that this government sees petroleum as the major source of raising revenue. Major source of raising money. So anytime they need money, they just think like, go and impose taxes on petroleum. The Speaker, that is worrying.
I hold in my hand a proposal from the MPP government, led by His Excellency President Akufo-Addo, proposing that we should increase taxes on diesel, petrol, and LPG. Mr. Speaker, in 2015 December, I was in this house as the Deputy Minister responsible for power. I was here with Honorable Secretary. Our colleagues on the other side described the energy sector levies as obnoxious, as a nuisance levy, and went ahead to promise the people of Ghana that on assumption of office, under the able leadership of President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia, they will abolish this levy. Today, not only have they failed to abolish the levy, they are here to impoverish the already impoverished Ghanaian by increasing these levies. Mr. Speaker, in 2015,
Yes, Baba. Tell us.
when we were handing over in 2017, out of what we collected in 2016, we left a cash amount of 234 million cedis in the account. Over the past 4 years, this levy that they described as obnoxious, 2017, it accrued 3.1 billion. 2018, 3.5 billion. 2019, 3.7 billion. 2020, over 4 billion. So far, under the visionary and able leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President Akufo-Addo has received a colossal amount of more than 12 billion from the energy sector. Mr. Speaker, in the media review of 2019, as if this is not enough, the minister appeared before us and told us that the energy sector levies needed to be increased again. He increased diesel by 17.5%, increased petrol by 17%, and increased LPG by 8.7%. The rationale was that he needed this increment in order to deal with the energy sector payments. Mr. Speaker, 1 year down the lane, He is here again, asking us to increase diesel, increase petrol, and increase LPG. Mr. Speaker, if this is not a failure, then what is it?
F9.
And Dr. Bawumia owes us an apology as far as this country is concerned. Mr. Speaker, if President Akufo-Addo was in class 1, I tell you with this result, they will repeat it. Mr. Speaker, more importantly, these funds have not been managed well. For instance, under the energy sector levies, all the amounts accruing to the road fund, more than 2 billion of that amount has been withheld and has not been handed over to them. Mr. Speaker, I heard somebody saying it's never true. When we rise up to speak, we speak with facts. Mr. Speaker, in 2018, out of a total collection of 1.2 billion, 569 billion was withheld. In 2019, out of a collection of 1.5 billion, 895 million was withheld. In 2020, out of 1.8 billion, 900 million was withheld. In 2021, this year, they are withholding another $800 million. No wonder our roads are in such a poor and abysmal state as far as the state is concerned. 1.2 billion out of the 1.8. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my honourable colleague is again misleading this honourable House from so many angles. The amount that he is talking about is not true. There is no way that the ministry was given 2 billion from the amount he's talking about. And again, Mr. Speaker, he is creating the wrong and erroneous impression that President Akufo-Addo's government has visited upon this country West Rose in its history. Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge the other side and the NDC. I want to challenge them, and I can debate them at any time, any forum, that they left this country the West Road infrastructure in this country's history. So they should not create the impression that we have bad roads upon this country. Road infrastructure so significant. I refer to the 2021 budget, and I'm quoting the page 206, Appendix 2B, Energy Road Fund Levy. The provisional outline is 1.8 billion. It's in the budget. This is not my budget. This is the budget read by the venerable majority leader, the Honorable Seche Mensabus. Then when you go to the classification in terms of expenditure, Mr. Speaker, when you go to expenditure, Mr. Speaker, when you go to page 207, Appendix 2C, Economic Classification of Central Government Expenditure, Provisional Outline, Road Fund, 544 million. So out of 1.8 billion, in the year of roads, they got only 544 million. Mr. Speaker, this is the state of Ghana's economy. From the budget. Under Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia as the chairman of the economic management team, Mr. Speaker, the world over, following the COVID-19 pandemic, what sensitive governments are doing is to rather help industry. It's rather cushion their citizenry. It's to rather pursue policies and measures that are proper and that will ameliorate the suffering of the ordinary Ghanaian. Mr. Speaker, what we are doing today is a plethora of draconian a multiplicity of draconian taxes that will put the ordinary Ghanaian in a state of melancholy. Mr. Speaker, let them point to me one country, Mr. Speaker, just one country that is imposing these harsh taxes. Just one country. Mr. Speaker, in Samina, in concluding, in winding up, Mr. Speaker, let me serve notice to our colleagues on the other side that even though we have about 4 years to elections, begin to write your handing over those because of it.